Kennedy, Tuesday, November 10th, regular class. We're going to finish our story of Voices, and then I'm going to be throwing things at children who are, who learn. You know, they have bookmarks you can put into there, so you can stop folding the pages of my book.
That's not fun.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
So it's throwing things at children. No, wait, are we recording? Yeah. So as we go, yeah, we're recording. It's okay. I don't care if they know I throw things at kids. There's no evidence of it. It's there. Bell work, book report. We're good to go. For the bell work, we're going to go ahead and take a look at a couple of your examples on there to try and help you out. I'll have you give me 2 examples of the confusing, and then 2 examples of the background ones, and then we'll try to help you out from that point. Grider. Let's go from morning. Actually, afternoon. We'll do the confusing statements. We'll have you do one of those.
Okay. How long did it take Bridget to recover from her accident?
Not bad. That would work. Rebecca.
What?
Confusing statement.
For hers or for mine?
Well, you don't know hers. For yours.
Oh.
Yes.
I put, why would people be mean to me when they don't even know it?
That would work. Yes. He needs you. Yes. Jumper.
For the music?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So we'll come back to you for the next one then. Aaron.
Why does Theo drive his car into a creek?
That would work. Nicely done.
The creek.
Then for the background ones. You ready, Kennedy?
Yeah.
Now you get to the background, connect it to your world,
Edwin cares for her brother very much.
and that connects to you. Why?
Because I care for my brother very much.
That would be nice. Nicely done. Nice connection. Grizzle.
Well, so mine was, when I was little, I started like a babysitting club, or a dog walking club, and I started a babysitting club.
Which is exactly what your book is named after.
Yeah.
I see it. Alana.
Katniss and I both have the straight of not taking anyone from anyone.
That would work. Nicely done. Jeremy, how does yours connect?
It's harder.
Yes.
I don't have one.
At all.
It's not
I mean,
awesome one.
That's okay. It doesn't have to be awesome.
I hate to smell bleach, and so does Sloan.
That would work. Nicely done. They do mention that in there. See? Baby steps. I'm okay with that. They didn't have to make fun of you or anything. This time. Maybe next time. If you have glared at me, finished the bell work, then you can go ahead and put the notebook away. Here's the part where the voices. I have uploaded part 2. And so when we get to that part, and if you are wanting to see it, then you'll just have to upload the part 2 to help yourself out. But part 2 is now on my website, but we've not finished part 1 yet, so don't get too excited. Jaguar Heisen?
How many pages are there?
Total? Well, part 1 is 2 pages, and then part 2 is like half a page.
Oh, okay.
So like 2 and 2.5 pages. We're good to go there. We talked about irony. Foreshadowing, because we're going to need that to know what happens in our story, Pharrell. What is foreshadowing in a story?
Foreshadowing is when you have to, like, once you're done reading the story and it doesn't give you the end, you have to, like, try to figure it out.
Nice. Not too bad. I can see that. Drew?
What? What happens in the opposite of what is expected?
Perfect. That's irony. We're talking about foreshadowing.
Oh,
How ironic.
clues in the story to help figure out.
Nicely done. The clues in the story to help you figure it out. And so this one will end in the middle of a conversation, and then you'll have to go back and we'll figure it out. Here's the drawback. Some of you are smart. And you'll start figuring out the foreshadowing clues before we even get to it. As it starts closing in on the end of the story, you're going to start picking up on those clues, and you're going to have that moment of, I figured it out. When you do, don't be telling other people. I don't want you to give it away, because some people aren't as smart as you. So we're going to give them a moment to get there. Mr. Brovicast, that's not true. Everyone's smarter than me. I know. But still, we're going to pretend and try to help them out a little bit. With the voices so far, who's our main character in the story? Sam. It starts off, where is Sam? Bedroom. What wakes him up? Who's scream?
His scream.
His own scream. What caused him to scream?
Bad dream. About burning. Bad time.
There you go. Bad dream. Why were the people burning?
Because of the car crash.
In the car crash. Let's see, and then to there. Oh, and before he can fall back asleep, what happens to him?
He hears a voice.
Nicely done. He hears the voice talk. And what does the voice say?
Dead.
Something about being dead and we're coming. Then it jumps to a new scene. What's the new scene it goes to?
Science class at school.
Science class at school.
First period.
Also first period. And then, besides voices, he has something new bothering him. And what's the new thing bothering him?
White eyes.
The white eyes, where one eye just went whew and all white, and the other eye
That'd
whew
be
and all
cool.
white.
To be like,
Yeah.
Can't
You're not shooting lasers out of it. You're just having a white. I can do it for you. Take off your glasses for a second. We'll help you out. And so one eye goes all white, and the other eye goes all white, and then he feels like the weird, like, I don't know, pressury thing going on in the eyeball. So where does he try to go?
the nurse.
And before he gets to the nurse, what happens?
He hears voices.
And what do the voices say?
Over there.
And?
Dead.
Dead. Apparently more about the dead and the being over there, which apparently freaks him out a little bit. You know how people are. Did you guys have any thoughts or guesses as to what is happening to Sam yet?
He's possessed.
He's a ghost himself.
He's being.
We'll slow it down a little bit so Evangelgerizing, so I can pay attention.
It's a dream.
You're saying everything's a dream?
Yeah.
That would make things easier if it was a dream. Mui?
He's going crazy.
Just played out crazy?
Yeah.
Crazy is fun. Alana?
Poltergeist is haunting him.
Ooh, so you're going ghosts, actual ghosty things. Jeremy?
Possessed.
So going off of her ghost, now he's just, the ghosts are in him. They're coming from inside the body. That would work.
See.
Jumper?
I say he's dreaming too.
So you're going back to the sleepy dreamy thing? Sleepy dreamy thing would work. Alright. Let's find out, because now it gets to go up to the next level. So little dotty things, and we'll keep going from there. Man, Trevor said at lunch, you really had us freaked out today in Larks' class. I thought you were going to go all psycho on us or something. Your eyes were all flipped out. Well, you kept talking about dead people and stuff. That was spooky. You sure you're okay? Sam looked up from his sloppy Joe and gave his friend a smile. I don't know if I'd say I'm okay, but I'm feeling better at least. This morning's really sucked, Trev. I don't even think I could put into words how messed up it's been. Hang on one second. I realized I didn't plug in my microphone. All of a sudden, we're going to have sound. And now you can hear us. Yay! All right. I know, it's the worst. I blame it on the slow kids. That was it. Sam looked up from his sloppy Joe and gave his friend a smile. I don't know if I'd say I'm okay, but I'm feeling better at least. This morning's really sucked, Trev. I don't even think I can put into words how messed up it's been. He took another bite of his sandwich and chewed slowly, looking at his plate. Are you going to try? The question coming from his friend. Try what? Sheesh. To explain it to me, Trevor said in an exasperated tone. I haven't spoken with you since Mrs. Larks took you to the nurse. You say weird stuff has been happening. Well, what kind of weird stuff? Sam replied. Well, voices for one thing. I've been hearing voices. Apparently from people that aren't there. I can hear them just fine, but I seem to be the only one. Wow. Voices. Really? It's kind of cool. That's like full-blown crazy person stuff. I've never known a real crazy person before. Sam looked up at his friend in time to see a smile. It's not funny, Trevor. It's really scaring me. And there are bright lights going off in my eyes. It's like I'm looking at a light bulb with only one eye. It doesn't hurt, but it's weird and it's creepy and I don't like it. I want it to stop. And you're bleeding, Trevor said. Nah, Trev, it's all been in my head so far. I haven't actually been hurt or anything. No, man, you're bleeding, Trevor said excitedly. Check out your arm. What? Sam asked and looked down at his right arm. Trevor was right. There was blood coming out of the crook of his elbow. It seemed to be quite a bit of blood, too. What the? Sam exclaimed while swiping at his arm. The arm tingled now, and it felt funny, but it didn't really hurt. He grabbed some napkins off his tray and wiped at the blood. He saw it was coming out of a small hole on the inner bend of his elbow. It was right on the vein. It was like the vein had just opened up and started shooting blood out on its own. What's wrong with it? Trevor blurted, and then asked more quietly, Is there anything I can do to help? Yeah! Give me your napkins and go get a large Band-Aid. What's wrong? The soft voice asked. Sam spun in his chair to see nobody near him. Who said that? Stop fighting it! A much stronger voice resounded on his other side. He quickly looked to the side of the new voice, saw the same sight. Nothing. Losing him. The soft voice again. It sounded, what was it? Anxious? Worried? He wasn't sure, but it didn't sound good. Falling. A new voice this time, but what was falling? Sam thought he missed the beginning of whatever it was the voice said, and it bothered him. Something important was falling, and it seemed to involve him. So, we're in a new location. No longer in the classroom. Where are we now? The lunchroom. And who's he talking to now? Trevor. And Trevor, like any good friend, when Trevor finds out what's going on, what does Trevor do?
Say it's cool.
Ask questions.
Yeah, basically make fun of him. That's what good friends do. When you find out your friend's going insane, you're like, haha, that's hilarious. And so he gives him a hard time about it. But the voices, not to be outdone, decide to up the fun game. And so what do they do to increase the fun?
Make him
Break
break
his blood vessels.
Nice. They make him... Now, where is he bleeding from?
Elbow.
Now, what part of the elbow is he bleeding from?
This part.
Yeah, this part. Yeah, not elbow. That would be fun. There's no vein there. There's just a bone. There's no blood to come from. You just have to but here, you've got the little veiny bit. It's just like, he just like, hey. It just starts like shooting out a little vein. Right? He's like, ah! So that's the part. And... Of course, what is it that the voices say to him?
Falling. Stop fighting.
Stop fighting it, falling, which of course
Using
apparently
him.
might be a little hard to stop the fighting of when all of a sudden your arm starts bleeding right there in front of you, but we all have our own issues. And so that's when the blood just starts firing out. All right. This next part is going to jump again, and this is where for a lot of you, all of a sudden, those foreshadowing clues are going to start making sense. When you figure it out, don't freak out and give it away to other people. He didn't know any of this. Sam looked at the math test again and sighed. All that studying he had done, and it was no help. None of these questions made any sense to him. It was almost like it was written in a language he couldn't understand. He looked at the first question and rubbed at the bandage on his arm. Stupid thing still hurt. Wouldn't stop bleeding. It had been bleeding for almost 2 hours now. Stupid slow trickle that didn't seem to stop. Sam snuck a quick peek around the room to see if anyone else was having trouble with the test. No one else was looking up. They all seemed to be writing furiously. All right then, Sam said quietly to himself. I studied. This should be easy. Let's try the first problem again. See how to get the square root of... Not gonna make it, said a loud voice just above his left ear. Not again, Sam moaned out loud. Make the voices stop. Tell me who you're talking about. You're driving me crazy. Sam finished his rant in a voice loud enough to nearly qualify as a shout. Well, Mr. Tynes, talking during a test will drive me crazy, his algebra teacher, Mr. Finns, told him. I've heard you've had a rough day, Samuel, but please keep quiet during the test. Shock 'em! The voice was louder now and almost seemed angry. I'm shocked! I'm shocked! Sam shouted back at the voice. This whole freaking day has been shocking. I don't want any more surprises. If you want to really shock me, try leaving me alone. Yeah, that would shock me. Mr. Tynes, I am shocked also. I am shocked a good student such as yourself would behave like this. That is quite enough. I will not have an outburst like that in class, especially during a test. Clear! The voice drowned out Mr. Finn's last few words. The voice was insistent this time, almost yelling, but not sounding like it was directed at him. Sam stood, looked around the room. Is what clear? Nothing is clear. I don't understand any of this. The pain that suddenly shot through his chest knocked him off his feet and dropped him onto his butt. His heart and lungs and chest had just simply exploded. His eyes swam with the pain. His buzzing fingertips reminded him of the time he electrocuted himself screwing in the light bulb in his attic. He slowly looked down at his chest to see how big the gunshot wound was. It had to have been a bullet. Nothing else could have hurt this much. Nothing. No blood. No hole. No bullet. Just intense pain. It hurt so much he could do little more than sit there with his mouth open and gawk at his own uninjured chest. "No response!" the voice yelled at him. "What the Jesus?" Sam thought. "What do you mean no response? What kind of response did you want?" It had knocked him off his feet. It made his chest explode. He felt like he was dying. "Clear!" the voice bellowed at him. "No, I'm not," squeaked Sam in a whisper. "I don't know what you want. How can it be clear? Who are you? Why are you doing this?" Another explosion of pain blasted his chest. He could actually feel his body jerk and jump as something like electricity shot through his entire body. His vision blurred, and he could see the classroom and the stunned expressions of his classmates and teacher as they melted into the whiteness that was surrounding his vision. His hearing seemed to fade as the classroom sounds dissolved. "I'm dying," he thought. "So this is what it's like. But why? Why did they have to kill me? What did I do to them?" "Stable," he heard the soft voice tell him as his consciousness blinked out. Yeah, still not telling us what happened. That's the part where I say we're not having you tell us because some people are still figuring it out. If you have an idea, as I told you that last part, the foreshadowing clues start to become a bit stronger. Now we're done with the foreshadowing, so now we get to sort of finish it out, but it'll just stop in the middle of the conversation. So those of you who have an idea of what you think happened, you're going to be able to go back and tell us those foreshadowing clues to help us. Foreshadowing clues. And then part 2, if you need it, is on my website. If you can download it from there if you want. Sam awoke and saw a white room he didn't recognize. He could smell disinfectant. He heard the voices of people far away, maybe in a hallway. He tried to sit up, but was stopped by the pain that shot through his body. Oh, man, he hurt. That last shock hadn't killed him, but his body sure ached like it had tried. "Thought we lost you," a voice from off to his left. The soft voice he had heard before. So the voices weren't done with him yet. "Not again," Sam told the voice. "Why can't you all just leave me alone?" "Because you probably would have died if we'd done that," the voice replied. The voices just answered him. The voices, they never answered. They just spoke. He slowly turned his head to that side. "So how are you feeling, kiddo?" the nurse standing next to his bed asked, using the voice he had come to recognize and dread. "Who are you? Where am I? What's going on? How did you manage to—" He trailed off, looking at this lady who was staring at him and adjusting a clear plastic bag hanging on a pole next to his bed. His eyes followed the thin tube connected to the bottom of the bag, followed it down until it connected with his arm, connected with a needle inserted into the bend of his right elbow, exactly where he'd been bleeding before. "You were incredibly lucky to survive that car wreck. If you hadn't been wearing your seatbelt, then you'd have been thrown through that windshield just like your—" She stopped short and looked at him again. It was a concerned, motherly look. "Well, you're lucky to be alive anyway." "Car wreck?" Sam asked her. "What car wreck? You mean the one in my dream?" The nurse wrinkled her nose, gave him an odd look. "That was no dream, sweetie. It was more like a nightmare. From what I understand, you almost died last night in the emergency room, too. Your heart just stopped. Doctors had to shock you to get your heart started." "Shock me?" Sam asked. An eerie thought was beginning to creep up Sam's spine and nudge its way into his brain. "Yes, Sam. They had to use the defibrillators to get your heart beating again. If they hadn't, you'd be dead right now." And that's where it stops. I told you, it stops right in the middle of the conversation, and if you don't use the foreshadowing clues throughout the story, then the ending of it's not going to make a whole lot of sense to you. But, luckily, we do get to use the foreshadowing to help us out. Final scene, where do we find out he is?
Hospital.
He's in the hospital on this one. And then we find out who at least one of the voices was, and who is one of the voices?
The nurse.
The nurse. And through the use of the clues throughout the story, what has happened to him?
He was in a car crash.
Car crash. And from that car crash, we find out, has he been in school this whole time?
No.
No. He's been knocked unconscious or in a coma or something like that. And much like when you're sleeping and you have your alarm go off and you don't think it's your alarm and you think it's a bomb going off and you keep trying to disarm the bomb in your dream, you're like, "Why won't the bomb stop?" You're like, "Oh, alarm clock. It's the same idea. Where here is the fact that since he can't wake up, he's bringing in all of these things from the outside world into his dream world. Like when Sam sees the white lights. What are the white lights? When he feels a pressure on his eye, then it goes from one eye, and then disappears, and then goes to the other eye, and then it comes back. Mooey?
The light from the ceiling?
Close, not the light from the ceiling, because it wouldn't explain the pressure on his eye, but a good guess. Lackner?
Like they hold your eye open and shine a flashlight in.
Nicely done. Because it happened right after the wreck would have been, so the paramedics coming by to check when they hold your eye open and shine the flashlight in it to see if you're still alive. The reason being, what was one of the first things that the voices said to him? What's that, Pharrell?
They're all dead.
They're all dead. Who is it that the voices are referring to?
Family.
His family. And so that's why they're checking to see if he's dead also. When they show up, car wreck, I'm guessing bodies everywhere, and they're like, oh, they're all dead. And they see the one kid still sitting inside with the seatbelt on. They're like, ooh, we can check to see if he's still dead. And that's why they're checking on him. Brady? All right. Then, with the blood on his arm, and he's sitting in lunch, and something creates the one-armed fountain. Achoo! Luke?
They stick like an IV needle into his arm.
Nice one, the IV needle that they're putting into his arm. Now, at lunch, when he starts bleeding, what is his reaction at lunch? What does he do, Brady?
Like spazzes out.
Spazzes out. And what is it that the voices say to him after he spazzes out, Cole?
Quit fighting it.
Stop fighting it. The reason being, as I'm assuming, in the real world, when they're in the process of poking his arm, in his dream world, he's trying to wipe it with nap, and he's like, the doctor's like, stop fighting it, kid. And trying to hold his wrist down. So that's what they're yelling at him, to stop fighting it. It's because, he's slapping at it. And then, what is it? Oh, well, the other thing the voice says is losing him. And what does the losing him mean? Alana?
His heart stopped.
Yeah, the fact that his heart is stopping. And then it says falling to you guys. He says it sounds like something is falling, and the thing that's falling refers to me, but I don't know what's falling. Yes?
His heart rate.
Nicely done. Referring to the idea of the heart rate falling. And of course, when your heart rate falls, what do you have to do to get the heart rate back?
Shock it.
That's where the shocking comes in. When his chest explodes, why does his chest explode? Evangelizing.
They use defibrillators.
And the defibrillator are the things you rub together. Rubby.
Clear.
And you do the little shocky thing to bring it back. So that's why it feels like his chest explodes. Now, when they're doing that, what two things the voices keep yelling at him when he's in math class that whole time, Delaney?
They yell clear.
And?
No response.
Because they whisper that one. They don't. They yell that one. They yell no. I think they do. All right, you got lucky. They do yell no response. Clear, and then also?
And then they yell, no response.
Oh, Rebecca already stole that one. They do that one. Well, the clear is, and we say the clear is when you're doing the shocking because electricity goes to the body. You can't have anyone touching the body because it'll go through that body into someone else. So if your hand is like touching him and all of a sudden they shock it, it goes through him into you and you go, ah, and then you fall down. So that's why they yell clear. But of course to him, he's like, it's not clear, I don't understand. And then Delaney, gee, they yelled at him. Did you guys, besides clear, oh, sorry, I'll forgive you. Aaron?
Shock him.
Shock him. And that was the whole thing where he was like, I'm shocked. They're trying to do the shocky thing. And as they say, no response, what does no response mean?
His heart's not responding.
There you go, the fact that the heart's not coming back. So they have to keep doing the shocky thing. And the very last thing that they say to him is stable. What does the stable mean?
His heart
Mooey?
His heart's, he's alive.
Nice on the fact that he's sort of... Now, of course, the irony is, what is the last thing he thinks before he passes out?
He's dying.
That he's dying. Why is that ironic?
Because the room around him's going white.
Nice. Well, close. That's not the ironic part.
Because
Adam?
Because he was actually dying in the real world.
No,
His
that would
heart stopped.
close. That'd be the not ironic, though. Yes?
He thought he was dying, but really he was being sick.
There you go. He's like, I'm dying. This is what it feels like to die. And actually, it was just the opposite. That was him being saved and coming back to life. So it was the ironic that he thought that was what death felt like, but actually, he was dead the whole time. And this was him coming back to life. What a happy day.
Zombie.
Speaking of happy days, when they say they're all dead, they're referring to
And the
family.
his family. And then once we did Stop Fighting It, you guys covered that one. The dream about his family dying in the car wreck? Was it a dream? No. So what do we find out happened to his family?
They died.
Except for, why does he not die?
Because he was
Yeah,
wearing a
he was wearing
seatbelt.
The joy of a
That's
seatbelt.
why I watched Dora when I
There's
was 3 years old.
That totally makes sense.
Then she always said like, put on your seatbelt and crap.
They never
Go
brought. They never
Dora.
drove
Backpack.
They would go.
I remember that.
They said backpack, he heard seatbelt, it all works.
Yeah.
Well, they said safety first.
When during the math scene when they do the whole clear and stuff like that, and he says that it felt like he had screwed a light bulb into the attic. Why was he making that reference with his fingers being tingly and the screwing in an old light bulb, Rebecca?
Wait, you mean the light bulb in the attic? Because it's like pitch black, and then it's like boom, light.
Close. Everything we said was, hang on. His buzzing fingertips reminded him of the time he electrocuted himself screwing in the light bulb up in his attic. Why would he bring up that reference then? Louis?
It's like when you got shocked, he's from the aftermath.
There you go, that whole feeling electrocuted thing. I think that's one of the only things I have left over there. So you guys have the over there. There you go. Nicely done. Hopefully you enjoyed the story. On my website, the Forbidden story that's on there is another story by the same author. This is one of those ones where it's not one that we're going to get a chance to read together just because we don't have enough time. But I figured I'd throw it on there. If you enjoyed this one, it's another one by the same author. It goes in a slightly different direction.
Isn't the author you?
Whatever, it's not important who that person is.
Wait, it was you?